Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to worship on this 18th Sunday after Pentecost. I'm Pastor Zach. I'm the interim pastor here. A special welcome to all of you who have come to worship on this wonderful day. We do have a couple of announcements to begin. First of all, there is a sign up on the back table there for worship leaders, and there are some empty spaces in the next few weeks and months. So if there's something that you would like to try something new, go ahead and fill your name into that. And if you're uncertain exactly how to do it, you can come talk to me, and I can help you out and get you to the right people in the right place, time to make sure that you know what you're doing. It's a great way to serve and to explore different ways of being in worship. So that's a great thing. A couple of other announcements. The Ecumenical Harvest Progressive Dinner is coming up in just a few weeks on the 13th of October. So mark your calendar, talk to Sherry or Lori for tickets and all of that. And then I do want to remind you all that the Flame Fund application deadline is coming very, very quickly. We've only got about a month or so on that. So if you know anybody who could use some funds, I'll point you toward Jason and the committee, and they can help you with that. Those are the announcements that I have today. So I invite you to the Holy Gospel according to Mark.
Glory to you, Lord.
Jesus and the disciples went on and passed through Galilee. He did not want anyone to know it, for he was teaching his disciples, saying to them, "The Son of Man is to be betrayed into human hands, and they will kill him. And 3 days after being killed, he will rise again." But they did not understand what he was saying, and they were afraid to ask him. Then they came to Capernaum, and when he was in the house, he asked them, "What were you arguing about on the way?" But they were silent, for on the way they had argued with one another who was the greatest. He sat down, called the 12, and said to them, "Whoever wants to be first must be last of all and servant of all." Then he took a little child and put it among them. And taking it in his arms, he said to them, "Whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me. And whoever welcomes me welcomes not me, but the one who sent me." This is the gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, O Christ. You may be seated. Hannah, can you do me a big favor and print off 2 more copies of this? So once again in our reading today, Jesus tells his disciples that he's going to be rejected and he's going to be killed, but then in 3 days he's going to rise again. All this when they go to Jerusalem. Now the disciples, understandably, are confused. They have absolutely no idea what Jesus is talking about. They don't understand any of it. It doesn't fit their preconceived notions of who and what the Messiah is. They have no idea what's going on. Now, to be fair, there's nothing wrong with this. It's fine to not know. It's good to be curious about things and recognize that there are things that we don't know about. That's a good thing. However, in this particular case, the disciples are afraid to say anything. They disconnect from the conversation. Now, some of this makes a little bit of sense because in just last week's reading, which was about a chapter and a half ago from this, Jesus made his first telling of what was going to happen in Jerusalem, and it didn't make any sense to Peter, and Peter piped up and he said, "No, this can't happen," and Jesus chastised him in front of everybody. So it makes a little bit of sense maybe that they're a little bit skittish about what's going on. But at least last week, when Jesus said these words, Peter engaged Jesus in some kind of interaction. Now, They aren't saying anything to anyone. They won't even do that. And then things get worse for them. Because soon after that, they switch the conversation to who's the best. I'm the best. That's right. That's me. I'm the, I don't know. It's like they're saying, I don't know what's going on. So clearly I'm just better than you. Right? That's what they're doing here. Now, this wouldn't be so bad if this were just a commentary on what 12 men 2,000 years ago did. We'd be like, oh, look at those foolish guys 2,000 years ago. They're measuring themselves to boast about who's the best. I'm sure glad we're not like that anymore today. Unfortunately, this type of behavior is exactly what happens today. It happens today just as much as anything else, right? I'm an adult, and that means in our culture that as an adult, I'm supposed to be reasonably knowledgeable about things in the world. And I certainly don't want to look foolish in front of my peers or others because I'm an adult and I'm supposed to be knowledgeable about things. Anybody else resonate with that? So then we go, I totally know all about that one thing over there. Yeah, I totally know about it. Yep. And so then we're like, okay, well, let me see here. I remember hearing this one thing that I heard a long time ago. I don't know if it's actually true or not, but I heard about it, so it must be true about this one thing. So let me tell you about this one thing. Because I'm supposed to be knowledgeable, right? Or like, I don't really know anything about this over here, so let me redirect and then we'll talk about this other thing that I do know about. All right? Anybody done that? Or we say, you know what? I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about, so that means it's clearly not important. And just like that, I find myself locked into that same cycle that the disciples found them in, where they were locked into their own perspective, and whether implicitly or explicitly, they were assuming that other perspectives are inferior. And so they argue about who is best and who is worst. What they do is pretty much what we do. It happens today all the time. This is one of the reasons why, when we're reading the Gospels, the Gospel books are actually written with this in mind, to put us as the reader into the role of the disciple. So if you're wondering, who should you resonate with? Who should you imagine yourself as you're reading the Gospels? It's the disciples. We're the ones that Jesus is wandering around with and teaching and correcting and guiding us through the process. That is what this is about. Now, Jesus, for his part, he does not address their ignorance and their foolishness. And I think this is intentional because he knows it wouldn't help. Because in fact, the human brain, when confronted with something that contradicts what it already believes, will tend to become more entrenched in its own belief rather than shifting gears. And it will develop even more justifications for its own position. This is what the human brain does. So Jesus doesn't chastise them in this situation, nor does he confront their who's best foolishness. Instead, he invites a child to come forward. A child with their inquisitive curiosity, their willingness and ability to ask questions, to just play, to have fun. They have this freedom to just say, hey, what's this? What's this? What's this? What's this? Why is this the way it is? Why? Why? You know, we can get frustrated with this, I get it. But this curiosity of children is valuable. And Jesus lifts this up and says, this is who we ought to be. Kids are really good about saying, I don't understand. I think Jesus is carefully inviting his hard-headed followers to reframe their perspective toward the curiosity and freedom that children have. And toward that ability to once again learn something new and to be amazed by what comes from that curiosity. So I'm going to invite the kids up. Okay, those who are young or young at heart can come.